when I experienced Tres Dias, the first thing I guess I could say is that I didn't learn anything new necessarily that I'd never heard before. But the miracle of Tres Dias for me was I slowed down long enough to be impacted by the love of God. You see, I found that there's quite a difference between talking about the love of God and really experiencing it. There are many things that we go, oh, sure, I know what that is. But when we're finally slowed down for 3 days and have an opportunity to have people truly give the love of God through their actions, their attitude, their servant lifestyle, you can't leave without being impacted. And so it was one of those opportunities, those rare opportunities, that in the middle of an incredibly busy life and lifestyle, I was able to realize that I can experience God like that anytime. But Tres Dias opened the floodgate for me to learn the value of slowing down and really spending time, quality time, with the Lord.
How have you seen this impact and change the body, the church?
Everyone is profoundly impacted, but there were two groups that are noticeably impacted. We have had actually so many that I couldn't count them, and in particular men who came to church basically because it was the right thing to do, or their kids were there, or their wife drugged them, or whatever was motivating them to get in the building. Rarely saw them other than on Sunday morning, and they usually, might have fished or golfed one of those Sundays out of the month. And they go to Tres Dias, and all of a sudden they come back and they are passionately wanting to have a relationship with the Lord. Because in the 3 days when they are slowed down and it's no longer a routine, it takes a little while to break down all of our inhibitions and our defenses to where anytime we hear the gospel, we're always going to be confronted, and most of the time we run from confrontation. But when the loving environment that is provided by the Tres Dias environment comes in, and then a person begins to realize it's safe to really be real, and to allow some people to really know where I struggle, where I'm at, what I need, it radically changes their lives. And they come back and they don't want to play church anymore. They really want to be active. So we've seen both extremes. We've seen those who really didn't understand a vibrant relationship with the Lord radically changed and have that relationship. And then we've also seen people who know the Lord, who walk faithfully with the Lord, but in the journey had lost some of the intensity and the drive to be everything that God had called them to be, to just see that renewal come into their life.
I went off to Tres Dias on that first Thursday night like everybody else does, and when I got there I kept thinking to myself, what am I doing here? That was my first kind of reaction. Why did I say yes to this? And but unbeknownst to myself, I was pretty much burned out at that point in terms of ministry. In fact, I'd been really contemplating, thinking seriously maybe about giving up ministry, because I felt so empty and out of touch with God, and I felt that I was just kind of marking time. I didn't know really what was going on in my life. And I must say that those 3 days away with God, for me as a pastor, gave me back not only my spiritual bearings, but it gave me back in a real sense my ministry, because when I went home from there after those 3 days, something wonderful happened those 3 days. I really I'm very grateful for Tres Dias in my own life. It has, like I said, given me back my ministry, put a lot of joy in my life, given me a lot of wonderful Christian friends, not just in my own congregation, but really all over the place. My feeling is that when you give people a wonderful Christian experience, they bond together as brothers and sisters, and it makes that journey so sweet. And Tres Dias is like that too. I think it binds you together in Christian love, and gives you a journey through life that's sweet. And I think that's my kind of take on that, at least. In about 10 days, I'll be off on another weekend. This will be my 17th weekend, I believe. Wow. Going back as a spiritual director. And I wouldn't have missed it. I mean, not every one of them has been perfect weekends, because there's nothing perfect in this world, but they've all been good. And most of them have been what I would call 5-star. I mean, they really, really touched my life and hopefully touched the life of other people. The effect on the church has been really pronounced. I think as I said a little bit earlier, The thing that we really are hoping for is when people come back, they will get into small groups. They will be involved in small group ministry. They will get involved in share groups, study groups, care groups. We don't, you know, those churches that have started it, and I can point to them. Those churches that have really taken this thing and used it are churches that are growing spiritually. And I have people come off, and they want to know now, how can they use their gifts? They come back and they want to, now they realize they're leaders. They're leaders for Christ. They want to be leaders for Christ. And so they're asking me, how can we use our gifts? And I say, any way you want.